I stopped wearing the jewelry my husband bought after he called it his. My husband, Caleb, bought me a diamond necklace for our 5th anniversary. It wasn't cheap, probably 3 months of his salary. I cried when I opened the box because nobody had ever spent that kind of money on me before. I wore it everywhere, work, dinners, even to the grocery store sometimes, because it made me feel special. Then last Tuesday happened. We were getting ready for his company dinner. I was putting on the necklace when Caleb walked into the bathroom and watched me in the mirror. "You're wearing my necklace tonight." "Good choice." I paused. "Your necklace?" He shrugged. "I paid for it, so technically it's mine. You just get to wear it." I laughed because I thought he was joking. He wasn't laughing back. "Caleb, you gave this to me as a gift. That makes it mine." He crossed his arms. "If we ever split up, that necklace comes with me. Same with the earrings, with the bracelet. I keep receipts for a reason." The way he said it made my skin crawl. Like he'd thought about this before. Like he had a plan. I took the necklace off and set it on the counter. Then I walked past him and grabbed my coat. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Going to your dinner without your necklace?" He followed me to the car, arguing the whole way, saying I was being dramatic, saying he didn't mean it like that, saying I was embarrassing him by not wearing it. I didn't respond, just drove. At the dinner, his coworkers kept complimenting my dress. His boss's wife asked where my beautiful necklace was, the one I always wore. I smiled. "It's not mine, apparently, so I left it at home." Caleb's face went red. He excused us to the hallway. "What the hell was that?" he hissed. "Truth. You're making me look bad in front of my boss." I looked him dead in the eyes. "You made yourself look bad when you told me everything you've given me isn't really mine." He didn't talk to me for 3 days after that dinner. On day 4, I came home from work to find the jewelry box on the kitchen table. All of it: the necklace, the earrings, the bracelet, even the ring he bought for our 3rd anniversary. There was a note: "Since you don't appreciate what I provide, maybe you should see what it feels like without it." He'd taken it all back. Put it somewhere I couldn't find. I sat at that table for an hour, not crying, just thinking. The next morning, I called my sister. She's a divorce attorney. Not because I wanted a divorce, but because I wanted to understand my rights. What she told me changed everything. "In our state," my sister, Sarah, said, her voice sharp and professional, "gifts given between spouses are considered separate property, not marital property. Especially if they were given for specific occasions like birthdays or anniversaries. The receipt proves he bought it, sure. But the occasion proves he gave it away. Once he handed you that box, Caleb lost all legal claim to those items. They are 100% yours." I gripped the phone tighter. "Are you sure?" He said he keeps the receipts for a reason. "He's trying to scare you, honey. It's a control tactic. He thinks because he earned the money, he owns the people he spends it on. But the law doesn't care about his ego. If you divorce him, that jewelry doesn't go into the pot to be split. It walks out the door with you. He can wave those receipts at a judge all he wants, all they prove is the value of the assets you now own." I hung up the phone and sat in the silence of my kitchen. The hum of the refrigerator felt like the only sound in the world. I looked at the empty space on the table where the jewelry box had been the day before. Caleb didn't see me as a wife. He saw me as a mannequin he could decorate to signal his own success. And like a mannequin, if I didn't pose the way he wanted, he would strip me bare and put me in the corner. But he had made a tactical error. He assumed I was trapped because I didn't have his salary. He forgot that he had spent 5 years slowly transferring wealth to me in the form of carbon and gold, purely to feed his own vanity. I formulated a plan. It required me to swallow my pride, something that tasted like bile in the back of my throat, but I knew the payoff would be worth the indigestion. When Caleb came home that evening, I was waiting. I had cooked his favorite meal, roast chicken with rosemary. The house was spotless. I was wearing the dress I wore on our first date, but my neck and wrists were bare. He walked in, sniffing the air, suspicion narrowing his eyes. "What's all this?" "I've been thinking," I said, keeping my voice low and submissive. I didn't look him in the eye, I looked at his tie knot. "You were right. I was ungrateful. You worked so hard to provide these beautiful things for us, and I made a scene in front of your boss. I embarrassed you." Caleb's posture relaxed. His chest puffed out slightly. This was the narrative he understood, him the benevolent provider, me the erratic emotional burden. "I'm glad you finally see that," he said, tossing his keys on the counter. "I don't ask for much. Just respect." "I know," I said. "I want to make it up to you. I want to wear the necklace to the gala next weekend. I want to show everyone how generous my husband is." He studied me for a long moment, looking for a crack in my performance. Finding none, he smirked. "That's all I wanted to hear." He disappeared into his study. A moment later, he returned with the velvet box. He placed it on the table, not handing it to me, but sliding it across the wood like a treat for a dog that had finally obeyed a command. "Don't make me take it away again," he warned. "I won't," I promised. And I meant it. For the next 2 weeks, I was the perfect wife. I wore the jewelry when he asked. I smiled when he made subtle digs about renting my lifestyle. I let him believe he had broken me. Meanwhile, I was quietly gathering my own receipts. I found the appraisal documents in his filing cabinet while he was at the gym. I took photos of them. I located the original boxes. On a Tuesday, exactly 3 weeks after the dinner incident, Caleb left for a 3-day business trip to Chicago. He kissed me on the cheek, told me to keep the house tidy, and drove away. The moment his car turned the corner, the clock started ticking. I didn't pack clothes. I didn't pack furniture. I went straight to the safe in the master closet. I knew the code. It was his birthday, of course. Inside lay the velvet boxes, the diamond necklace, the tennis bracelet, the sapphire earrings, and the heavy platinum band from our 3rd anniversary. I put them all into my purse. I drove 40 minutes to the upscale jewelry district downtown, a place Caleb usually went alone. I walked into Goldman & Sons, a high-end estate buyer my sister had recommended. The appraiser, an older man with a loop monocle, raised an eyebrow as I laid the collection on the velvet counter. "Beautiful pieces," he murmured. "Ideally, we'd need proof of ownership or purchase history for a lot this size." "I have the appraisals here," I said, sliding the papers across. "And my identification. These were gifts from my husband. They are my separate property." He checked the papers, then my ID. He made a quick call likely to verify the appraisals weren't reported stolen and then nodded. "We can offer you 60% of the appraised value for a direct cash buyout. Or you can consign them." "Cash," I said. "Today." It was a significant sum. Not the full retail price Caleb had paid, obviously, but enough to rent a decent apartment for a year and cover a retainer for a lawyer. It was enough for freedom. The transaction took an hour. I walked out of the store with a cashier's check and a lightness in my chest that made me feel like I could float. I went to the bank, deposited the check into a new account solely in my name, and then drove home. I didn't leave immediately. I wanted him to understand. I placed the empty velvet boxes back in the safe, arranged perfectly, just as he had left them. Inside the box for the diamond necklace, I placed a single index card. On it, I wrote, ** receipts prove what you paid. The law says who owns it. Enjoy the empty boxes, **. I packed a single suitcase of clothes. I took the dog. I left his dinner on the table, a frozen meal, still in the package, and walked out the door. 3 days later, my phone blew up. I was sitting in my new, small apartment, sipping cheap tea that tasted like victory. The caller ID showed * Caleb star. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. Finally, a text came through. * Caleb, where are you? The safe is empty. If you stole my jewelry, I will call the police star. I smiled and typed a reply, my fingers dancing over the keys. I didn't steal anything. I sold my property. You said you kept the receipts, right? You should probably give those to your lawyer. You're going to need to prove your income for the alimony hearings. I blocked his number. Then, I called my sister. Ideally, I said when she answered, I'd like to file for divorce on the grounds of irreconcilable differences. But honestly? I just want to see his face when he realizes he funded his own divorce. Sarah laughed, a warm, triumphant sound. I'll draw up the papers. Welcome back.